and welcome back to the channel for part 3 of my Scottish Odyssey, Celtic road trip, whatever you want to call it. So if you missed the first 2 bits, you have missed Puffins, more Puffins, a load of Puffins, oh, and some scenes from Skye, which was followed by Puffins. Anyway, this is the last bit today that I'm going to record. It's kind of a trilogy. Oh, give up, Justin. So this is all about the walk we did at the Quiraing, which is right on the northeastern edge of Skye. It's a beautiful location. You can find out more about it from I think it's Photography Online have done some vlogs about it, so I won't go into the geology. It's Europe's largest landslip, so it's very interesting, but fantastic for formations, and a beautiful, beautiful place. And if I'd have had dawn there, it would have probably been absolutely stunning, but it was stunning anyway. It was a very bright day when we were there, with low clouds, so we'll talk about some of the issues that causes a bit further on in this vlog. But for now, I think the best thing to do is start with an overview of the walk and some of the things to expect. The walk I had planned was up the hill on the Munro on the other side of the road from the Quiraing. The weather conditions didn't work, so we actually took the lower path, and from the fly through, what you can see is that actually most of the walk is fairly good. It's not horrendous, it's not massively steep. We went, it was very dry, so it was very dusty, and a little bit slippy, but I think if it had been raining, it would have probably been a lot more grippy. And you go round the side to the point where I then told my wife we were going up a slope that looked like that, and she said some words that equated to what? I'm like, no, it'll be fine, we're going to go up to the table. So the idea was to get up to the table, which is above the pencil, and shoot down. As I was going up there, I realised I might have taken a wrong turn, and once you're committed, you're committed. And when I was in a ravine with rock falls, I kind of thought, you know what, I'm a bit old for this shit. So I decided that dignity, better part of valour, we'll scrap it. But we actually fought our way round and made it to the top. So the first lesson of this walk is, it's easy for the first bit, but there are 200 metres that are really bloody hard. If you're not agile, don't do this, because it will absolutely crucify you, because it's not only the getting up, it's the getting down. When you're going down a slope like that, you could be tobogganing on your arse at great speed. You can see from some of the clips I'm showing you that actually it was lovely. There was just some cloud clinging, and it was kind of rolling in and out and giving me opportunities for really good photos. The issue, really the biggest issue, was the contrast in the scene dynamic range. So I think these have almost entirely been done in black and white, just to try and draw out what I could. And create a bit of drama in what could be a very, very flat image if I wasn't careful. So we walked, as I say, we followed the path, and it just winds, and you can just stop and you can take a few shots, and you can see here that there's a shot with my wife looking up towards the prison, which is the first kind of feature you really spot as you go. But because the path is so bright and so it's not white, but it's a very, very light sand colour, it really stands out against the heather. So I've used that to try and just pick it out throughout the image, so you can kind of see the journey that we were taking. And there are a series of images now that I'll show you that kind of build along the path as we get towards the prison, which was really our first major stop. So what I wanted to do was just talk you through some of the compositions that I got. This is the first one. This was quite early on in the walk, actually. We started off and we'd gone around one little kind of headland's the wrong word, isn't it? One little jut. And you could just see the prison through the cloud. So the cloud had kind of come up the side of the Quiraing, and it just left a gap for the prison, and you could just see through and see the path. And I thought that was a really good shot. And it's really come out in post-processing. I've had to really up the contrast, the clarity, pull in a vignette. I've really focused down on the path to pull out that, so you can kind of see where the path goes through the image and give you the layers in the image. But I think this works as a standalone image of the day as I saw it. This image is just looking back from the Quiraing over to where I'd hoped to climb, and you can just see on the right hand side, you can see that the Munro just kind of popping out of the top with I think they're called something like the Two Brothers below it, and you can see the road and just the kind of the cloud rolling in from the trodden ridge, and just lighting up, breaking enough to light up that just patch of diagonal where the road kind of follows. I liked, and you can just start to see the semblances of the hills on the far side of the road kind of breaking through, and this was before the cloud really burnt off. So I was pleased with that. And again, 12mm f5.6 at 800th, so you can see it was bright, and that's why I've had to really work with this image and work the raw file. Again, lots of contrast and clarity and vignette just to focus in on what was important, and it was that the pattern of light kind of in that mid ground, just guiding you into those clouds and those ridges and ripples in the land. This is another one where very similar to the previous one, where you can just see the path going up the left hand side, and everything's falling away to the right, and I've just tried to capture the cloud base just starting to push down and suppress the prison while we were walking up in this kind of areas of really bright light. Once we got to the prison, although you have the pencil off to your left and up the slope in front of you, we actually went round the back of it, and this just gives you a few more images looking out towards the sea, and round the back of the Quiraing, which I don't think a lot of people tend to do. They'll kind of go as far as the prison for the I guess the Gucci shots, and then we'll turn and go. But it's worth persevering, because you climb up these very steep slopes, and as you go up there are just glimpses through the rock pillars out to sea, or in this case the kind of the cloud pushing in, and it just gave me some lovely views. It was hard at times, and to be quite honest, if you're going to go up to the table, I would strongly recommend that everybody has 2 walking poles, because you'll need them. But that's just a minor logistical thing. Once we actually got up, we didn't actually get up to the table, but there's kind of an interim plateau, and we just had a little rest. And I'm not going to put the audio on, because all you'll hear is me heavy breathing, and I don't think anybody needs to hear that. We got some lovely shots, actually looking down onto the pencil. It's in a kind of a little gap between two rock formations, and it really sets it as a shot where you can just focus on that very, very tight stack of rock. And this is the pencil, as we spoke about. I've just left this in colour so you can kind of see what we had. We've got the foreground, the little piece of rock we were stood on, with the two walls of rock coming in from the side to kind of pinch the pencil, which then is sitting out on its own, looking up and out to the Trodden Ridge. If you've looked for any shots of the Quiraing, this is a fairly, I think, classic shot that a lot of people take. And it was fascinating to be up there. It was hard work, as I say, and coming down is as interesting as going up. There was a couple of lads in front of us who have probably got 20 years less than us, and they were going down at like they were going down it faster than we were, but I wasn't taking any risks. One of the other locations that a lot of people talk about is the Old Manor Store. I didn't actually stop there. We drove past the base of it, but we happened to stop at Loch Fada, which is just south of the Old Manor Store. And you can pull off to the side of the road, and there's a little gate and a track. And there are these three boats that sit on Loch Fada, and if you time it right, you can get a gorgeous shot on a calm day of these three boats all lined up leading off to the Old Manor Store. And I've tried to do that now, although they didn't quite have the orientation that I would have liked, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and as I've said previously in these videos, this was a summer holiday and it was just about being in a place at a time where I could just get the photo that I needed. But I am really pleased with these shots. The first one I'll show you is boat number 1, and then we've got the old man and his three dinghies or dingies. One of the things I did for this particular day was actually absolutely minimise my kit. So I spent the whole day with one camera, one lens, which I know everybody goes on about. But my one camera, one lens is this. It's the Olympus 8-25 f4 Pro. I'm going to do a little video, kind of a field test, reuse some of the footage from this video, and show you some of the other images I've got recently on the EM1 Mark III. In terms of a compact package, this is full frame equivalent of 16-50, but actually for landscapes like this where you want to capture some of the kind of the vista, and it's perhaps less about you're tired, you're not thinking about perhaps zooming in. Taking something lightweight like a 40-150R on the Olympus bodies gives you that range so you can pick out details, although it wouldn't have made any difference today because when we were climbing up, the cloud just took those details away. But the 8-25 for video, all the video from the Quiraing is shot on that, and all the shots are taken on that as well. I just set it to f5.6. And largely let it do its own thing. I did shoot in handheld high res all day. It gave me a lot to play with, so that was a really handy feature because it's a bright day. I know the shutter speed is going to be up. I was generally kind of 1/250th or a 400th of a second for a landscape, so I'm freezing everything. That's not a problem, but actually by doing the handheld high res I can then increase my pixel count up to a 50 or 80 megapixel image. And then I can crop in as I see fit to get the images that I want. I also use my Kase Wolverine magnetic filters. I've got the graduated ND, so that was slapped on, and I might well have had an 8-stop as well, not an 8-stop, ND8, so a 2-stop on as well, just to pull the exposure down from probably about 1,000th or 2,000th of a second down, because it was so bright there. If you've made it all the way through these 3 videos, then I do have a bonus kind of photo for you, photos. When we went across to Mull, to the Puffins, remember that back in video 1, the exciting little birds? At Fishnish, that's right, Fishnish, there are some beached old wooden boats. If you've seen photos of the boats at Pin Mill in Suffolk, very similar sort of composition. And I spotted them as we drove past on the way up to the Puffin, and I just thought on the way back I'm going to have to stop. So as I came back, I kind of pre-warned the wife I'd like to stop at somewhere. She went, yep, that's fine. So I pulled in, got the tripod out, don't usually get a tripod out, handheld high res, no filters, just shoot the sugar honey iced tea out of it while the light was hitting it just before it ducked behind the trees, and I lost all the light. And these are probably my favourite photos of the whole holiday. We've got 2 versions. We've got kind of a very washed out and kind of grungy version, and then the black and white version. Thank you to Mr. Norman for his help with a bit of advice on kind of how far to push the raw. But I think these are, without doubt, my 2 favourite images that I took all holiday. And with the H25, I just had that on there, and just tried to do my best to capture. I think we're at kind of 2 seconds on this one. What I saw, so we've got a couple of different compositions, one from very much head on, just try and pick up some of the light on the beach in front of the boats, and the second one is more side on, which is perhaps slightly a slightly dirtier, sorry, that sounded wrong, didn't it? Slightly dirtier, a slightly dirtier image. Again, this is at 19mm, 2 seconds. You can just kind of see the 3rd boat in the background, but just kind of washed up. And I'm really pleased with them. I think they look stunning. And when I get my printer, I think they might be one of the first images that I print and put on the wall. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. If you haven't watched the previous 2 videos, part 1 is there, and part 2 is there. They give you kind of an insight into the road trip and what I try to do, and then fitting photography in with a family holiday. There are loads of resources. Just plan. Get on YouTube, get on Google, find out where the locations are, and don't try and shoot everything. Just pick a few that you really want to do, and then trade and barter. And accept if the conditions don't meet it, well, them's the breaks. Sometimes you can't be out at 4 in the morning doing the sunrise. Sometimes you get there at 12 in the afternoon. But hey, at least you've been there and you've got the memories. I had a fantastic time. I can't believe I got sunburnt on Skye. It's ridiculous. I mean, who would have thought with this haircut? But yeah, brilliant. I would advise anybody who's thinking of going up, go up. It's worth the trip. It's a long old drive if you're down south, but it's worth it. So for now, I will say, keep yourself well. Don't do anything I'd do. Don't do anything I'd do. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Who knows? It could be one of those. And I will catch you in the next one, whatever that may be, because we've had a couple of interludes in between this one and the last video about Scotland, and I haven't worked out what the next one's going to be yet. So that'll be fun. Better start planning then, hadn't I? So have fun, keep safe, and I'll catch you with you on. Cheers for now. Bye.